In this final video in our series, we're going to see how we can help our fictional tour operator business called Story Safari to use AI to plan and create an email marketing campaign, specifically to promote the community-based tourism product. In this example, the company already has a professional website, community-based tourism itineraries, a blog, and social media accounts set up. They also have a free account with the email marketing platform and a small list of contacts in the database who have opted in to receive marketing communications from them. Let's see the other videos in this series for how we used AI and CBI's market information to generate unique selling propositions, market personas, and even a brand voice for Story Safari, and then use that information to create website and social media content. What we've learned so far is that AI is really powerful in coming up with ideas and in the planning process, even before we create content. So let's start by asking ChatGPT some basic advice about email marketing. Now we're going to use a variation of the same prompt framework that Guido taught us in video 1. Let's see what this could look like. Act as a marketing strategist, that's the role. And then I'm sharing a bit of the problem and the task. So I'm saying, I need help improving my email marketing campaigns. Can you offer simple ideas that are easy to follow and implement? I create a bit of context. So I'm telling ChatGPT that I have email marketing software with a contact list already. And then I'm sharing the goal is to get a better open rate and generate more traffic to our website. This would be a very useful prompt if Story Safari is already active in email marketing. They've maybe sent a campaign or two, but they're looking for advice on how to do this better. Now, as we run this prompt, you'll see that I'm receiving very practical advice exactly like we asked, and it's even categorized under clear headings. Keep in mind that in this prompt, unlike our previous videos, I did not even specify a specific source for ChatGPT to draw information from. Here we are purely relying on AI's existing knowledge about the topic of email marketing, and this looks pretty good. We have a mix of advice here. Some of it is very simple and practical to implement, things like subject lines and having good timing for the email campaign, and some of this is more advanced, talking about A/B testing and looking at data to improve future campaigns. Let's focus on this fourth recommendation, write engaging content. This is something that's typically challenging for marketing teams, especially in small companies. For some additional context, we're going to draw inspiration from an existing travel brand called Much Better Adventures. They're a leader in the adventure travel space, and they have a very clear and active email marketing strategy. Something we can learn from looking at their campaigns is that they have a very good balance between editorial content, so this would be blog articles or stories from the community, as well as sales content where they clearly promote new adventures or bookable tours. We can also see that they are not forcing a ton of information into these emails and making it very long-winded to read. They're treating it as a clear way to generate traffic to the website by sharing a bit of a teaser and then a clear call to action to click on. Back in ChatGPT, let's use what we've learned so far to create a first draft of this email campaign for Story Safari. So we start by telling the AI this. Let's focus on planning and creating a draft email for my community-based tourism products. And then a bit of a task. So firstly, I want to promote a tour itinerary, and here we paste the link to Story Safari's website. Here we will link to the cultural immersion itinerary that Guido created in video 3. As part of the prompt, we're also saying that we want to share a recent blog article about one of our guides. Here we will link to the blog article we created about Story Safari's guide Ada in video 4. Then the final part of this prompt. Please come up with a suggested structure and format for our email. Do not write the email yet, simply suggest the outline. The reason I'm specifically including this instruction for ChatGPT is that we've now seen that AI has this tendency to write even if you don't instruct it to. And at this point, I don't want to be overwhelmed with email copy yet, I just want to see a suggested structure. As a result, we can now see that we have a clear suggested outline for this email exactly like we asked. And we can also see how AI is capable of extracting information from these links that we shared. Things like the title of the blog article and the itinerary. I feel quite happy with this. I think the only part I would like to exclude is point 8, additional information. So here it's suggesting quite an open-ended and broad piece of content, special offers, booking details, upcoming events. That's not something that we have available, and I don't really see much value in adding that to the newsletter. To move this process along, we're going to share some additional feedback and another task. So firstly, we're telling ChatGPT that this sounds like a good start. And then we're also saying to exclude the suggestion at point 8. We don't have any additional content to add at this point, so simply ignore that. Then the task here is to draft the first version of this email's text. And then very importantly, we're going to add the context document that we created in video 2. So this is Story Safari's unique selling proposition for the community-based tourism sector. It's also the market persona that we created, as well as the brand voice. So telling AI how it should speak and the sort of wording and tone that it should use. Looking at this output, we can again see how the AI is capable of extracting the information, the context that we've given it. For an example, we can see that it's addressing this email to Anna, which is the name of our persona. And then also if we look at the wording and the way that it's speaking to the audience, it's clearly referenced our brand voice. Overall, this is quite a strong draft for the email. We can see a clear structure inspired by what we've seen from Much Better Adventures. So clear headings, a little bit of text, and then a clear click through to Story Safari's website, and a split between these two components. The product that we're selling, but then also the editorial content and information from our blog. The only part that I feel unsure about is the testimonial. This is clearly some placeholder or dummy text that ChatGPT inserted. So I'm simply going to ask it to remove that or to exclude the testimonial. And here we have an updated version of the article without that. We're back in Story Safari's email marketing platform. And here you can see the finished result when we copied the content and the advice that ChatGPT created into a full branded email. You will notice that the subject of this email is still empty. And at the beginning of this video, we learned that that's going to be an important factor for people to actually open these campaigns. So let's ask AI's help. Because there's so much context and history in this conversation already, you will notice how the prompts that I'm using are becoming simpler and simpler. I don't have to explain myself constantly. I don't have to share the same context. That's all in the memory of ChatGPT. So this is quite simple. I'm saying, let's work on the subject line. Please come up with 4 suggestions. And here I'm still giving a bit of direction. I don't want the repetition of the same subject line. I want some variation. So I'm asking for 4 versions, one that will evoke emotion, one that will create more urgency with the reader, one that will make it feel more personal, and then lastly, one that's going to grab attention. And the results look pretty good. We have one that evokes more emotion, talking about the heartbeat of Africa, and then one that's clearly personal, suggesting that we include the reader's name in the subject line. In this case, I quite like the one that creates urgency, limited spots available, book your African cultural tour now. The only problem is that Story Safari is a tailor-made safari company. There aren't set spots or fixed availability in a tour, so I would like to rework this to better suit the model of the business. I'll simply share that feedback saying I like option 2, but we don't offer fixed departures and availability. And here we can see again how the AI is capable of processing that language and understanding the intent behind what I mean. So here's an updated version. It's just not mentioning reserve your spot. It's still retaining the urgency. Say don't miss out, embark on your African cultural adventure today, which is a way better option. So far we've used ChatGPT as a sounding board for general advice about email marketing. And then we asked it to act as a creative consultant or strategic consultant to come out with the outline and the format for the email. Finally, it even created the copy and came up with a subject line. We're now ready to send Story Safari's email campaign. And as a final task, I'm going to ask AI for some input and advice about the optimal time to do this. The time that you send your email can have a significant impact on whether it gets opened or not. It can be the difference between being buried in your reader's inbox or showing up when they feel calm and inspired. You also need to consider time zones. For an example, think about where the majority of your readers would be in Europe or the States. There's a significant time zone between those two regions. Let's use AI expertise to come up with an optimal sending time for this campaign. So I created a simple prompt saying, let's proceed. Using my market persona I shared earlier, when will be the best time to do this to ensure the best open rate? And here it's acknowledging my persona, so it's referencing Anna. According to that information and context we fed into ChatGPT, Anna's based in Europe. So it's using that time zone and some combined theory and knowledge to give me a result. So it's talking about Tuesdays or Thursdays, and it's also giving me an optimal time, which is in the mornings, early morning specifically between 10 and 11 a.m. Berlin, Germany time. So it's also telling me that it's generally a good time to send for professionals. It's midweek, it's mid-morning, they're more likely to see this. I can now use this information And in Story Safari's email marketing platform, schedule this to go out at the most optimal time, even if it's not the time zone that I am based in. That brings us to the end of our video series on how to use AI to generate content for your tour operator business. We hope you found this useful. Keep in mind that AI tools are evolving at a rapid rate, so it's really important that you keep experimenting and educating yourself to ensure that you stay ahead of the curve and not fall behind. You can use the fundamental principles we covered in this video series to ensure that your content is relevant and authentic to your brand. Remember to always feed AI with relevant context and information. Be very clear in your instructions. Be willing to ask questions and have conversations with the application that you're interacting with. And finally, make sure that you have some human eyes on the content before you publish it on your website or your social media channels.